So, hello and welcome to everyone who is here. Um, we are gathering together today to practice meditation and also listen to the some Buddhist teachings from the scholar monk, philosopher monk Buddhadasa. And this is we can say, part 3 of this series where we are looking at the teachings of Ajahn Buddhadasa. And today we will start out with a meditation and get grounded, get settled into this space, and get settled into this lively stillness, this aware stillness. Usually, when we think about relaxing or being still, it's kind of that we're trying to turn off the light, right? We're trying to turn off our awareness and kind of fade away. But in meditation, we are getting still, coming into a place of stillness, and we want to relax our body and our mind, but it's not to turn off the light. It's actually to turn it on more so than usual, to be more aware, more awake, more present with everything that is happening right now at this present moment. So we can start that by finding our meditation position. Comfortable and stable, can be sitting in a chair, can be laying down. The specific position isn't as important as the quality of the position, so that you are comfortable, stable, and still. Okay, grounded. You can put your hands on your knees or in your lap. Okay, just comfortable, stable, simple position. And as we find that position of stillness, beginning to give our attention to the breath that is happening. Give our attention to the breathing process. And we give our attention as if it's something very important and alive and relevant. Okay, it's not like, oh, I have to meditate, but there's a curiosity and interest that we give to our breath at this moment, where it is more true, more real, more relevant than any thought, any story, any past or future. This breath at this moment as being something that is really precious and essential right now. We give our attention to the breath in that way. We can breathe deeply or breathe with force or breathe gently. However we're breathing, it's okay. It's just that we're giving our full attention to the breath at this moment, our full interest to the breath at this moment. Especially the breath in the body, the effect of the breath on the body. So we can feel the breath in the nostrils, going down into the face, into the throat, the chest, the stomach. Really feel the breath flowing in and flowing out at this present moment. We can even look at the breath as if it's something kind of strange. Something strange that's not scary, that we don't have to be afraid of. Something unique and curious. The breath as it is flowing in and flowing out right now. As we give our interest and attention to the breath in this way, we can also become more aware of the body, the whole body sitting here. And we can feel the gravity, the real presence of the body as we are breathing. Breathing and allowing the whole body to relax and the whole mind to settle into this place of simplicity. Allow the mind to be simple. Allow the body to be simple. You can exchange your habit of thinking and judging and picking and choosing for just breathing. Our way of being right now doesn't rely on thoughts, doesn't rely on reactivity, just rely on breathing, sitting, being aware of the whole body at this moment. Keeping in mind that we are not looking for anything. There's no particular kind of experience that we're trying to get, trying to find. Just noticing, just breathing, just being aware at this present moment. Okay, so at this time we will begin with our reading, but you are encouraged to stay with your meditation mind, right? Your mind of breathing and being aware of the body. And you can listen to this reading and this talk as a meditation. So last time we ended with our nature as human beings gives us this ability to choose, okay? But mostly we don't have enough wisdom to make a choice. We tend to just go along in this ocean of causes and conditions. The past circumstances, the past actions that we've taken have created this karma or this momentum of cause and effect. And most of the time, we're not wise enough to take the backward step from that current of cause and effect, that current of our karma, to take a step back and make a skillful choice, right? We feel thirsty, so we drink Coke instead of water. We have a certain kind of desire, and instead of taking a step back and making a more skillful choice, we just go along with that desire, and we end up being in a worse off situation than we would otherwise. So we have this ability to choose, but because we tend to rely on thinking in shallow ways and we're lacking in wisdom, we don't take that backward step and make that choice. And so one of the real gifts of the Dharma, of the Buddhist teachings, or the Dharma can be anything, but the truth teachings is that it's not shallow. It's the antithesis. It's the opposite of shallow thinking. It's thinking, thought, expression that comes from the deepest of wisdom and the deepest of experience. Okay, so listening to the Dhamma empowers us to take that backward step and make the choice. Okay, make a skillful choice in any such moment. So this is the first item, the first aspect of our lives that we need to be interested in. Among the many different ways that we can choose to live our lives, whatever form we choose has its necessary causes and conditions, and we must bring them about correctly. Okay, so whatever way of life that we want to live, whatever form we want to take, there are necessary causes and conditions. There are necessary actions that we need to take to find ourselves in that form. So it can sound like one of the most simple things in the world, but to register that and then make a skillful choice at this moment according to the form that we want to find ourselves in is anything but simple, right? It's one of the most difficult things to do. So we're moving on now to the next section of heaven and hell arise at the senses. Heaven and hell arise at the senses. The next topic I want you to understand is another crucial aspect of nature. That is the sense media. Because each of us has two eyes, two ears, a nose, a tongue, a body, and a mind, all sorts of things happen, and there are difficulties and problems. Don't be careless where the senses are concerned, as they are the central factor in almost all of life. So, what's the opposite of careless? Is very careful, very considerate, very interested and with it. So don't be careless where these senses are concerned, as they are the central factor in almost all of life. Not our reactivity to the senses, not our story about the senses, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, but the senses themselves, the experiences themselves at each and every moment that we're certainly having right now. Our six senses are each the bases of intense sensations, capable of concocting everything under the sun, which leads to all manner of problems. This wouldn't happen with rocks, because they lack eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. People, however, are not rocks, and we are equipped with all six senses, each of which has its particular function and its vast sphere. So it's vast aspects of each and every sense. The eyes have their visual function, which doesn't overlap with the function of the ears and nose. The eyes create innumerable problems concerning forms, while the ears create innumerable problems concerning sounds. The other senses create problems particular to their functions. So the body creating problems according to the bodily experience, the mind creating problems according to the mind experience. We are living animals, sensate beings. All our problems arise from having eyes, ears, a nose, a tongue, a body, and a mind. If we didn't have sense media, there wouldn't be any of these problems. If our senses were less important, we would have fewer problems to deal with. That is probably the case with trees, for instance, which don't have discernible sense organs. Animals have the same array of sense organs as human beings, but with less psychological functionality and impact. Hence, their problems are also less. Human senses, however, have broad capabilities that we have enhanced even more, especially with our modern technology, right? As the spheres of experience for the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind have greatly expanded, people the world over enjoy the increased opportunities for stimulation, thereby increasing their problems. We create all kinds of delicious, attractive, and amusing objects, experiences, to stimulate the senses, and then thoroughly indulge in these things. Okay, listen to this. This creates the extreme selfishness that behaves violently and cold-heartedly kills people all around the world. And I'm sure many of us have experienced this personally, not that we're necessarily killing people or that we're cold-hearted in that way, but when you find yourself to have something that you really like, that you're really attached to, which of course pertains or relates to your ability to see it, to hear it, to taste it, to smell it, to feel it. When you get involved in something like that, you're much more predisposed to anger or violence or cold-heartedness, right? Selfishness in those experiences. You know, this is me, this is mine. The moment you start to build up that kind of sensational kingdom of experiences that belong to you, belong to your mind, belong to your body, etc., you're immediately more reactive, animalistic, cold-hearted, and you don't offer that consideration to the people around you. You know, and you're also not offering that consideration to yourself. You're just kind of fueling, stuffing your face or stuffing your eyes or stuffing your ears or stuffing your body. And it's a very violent and cold-hearted way to live. So we create all kinds of delicious, attractive, and amusing objects to stimulate the senses and then thoroughly indulge in these things. This creates the extreme selfishness that behaves violently, cold-heartedly, inconsiderately, and kills people or puts people at a disadvantage, you know, closes off our warmth and our heart and our consideration to a person right at that time that they need it, because we've gotten stuffed into this extreme selfishness, fueling our eyes, our ears, our nose. When our thinking is diluted by personal advantages, we fight with anything that gets in our way. immediately, right? It's this immediate response to fight. This is mine. So when our thinking is diluted by personal advantages, we fight with anything that gets in our way. And this is in contrast to the idea that the more advantages that you can get, the more money, the more power, the more status, the more objects that you can get, the more free you will be, or the more happy you'll be. But in fact, these are all just delusions, supporting factors to become delusional, all these personal advantages. Okay? So we need to be very careful with what we use and what we experience. Because when our thinking is diluted by personal advantages, we fight with anything that gets in our way. We now have wars going on all over the world, and nobody thinks it strange. We may not like it, but we don't think that it's strange. We think that it's normal because this is the normal way that our minds are operating. And as a community, because our local communities, although we tend to be isolated, we don't have this empowered way of interacting where we are giving up our personal advantages for the benefit of others, or only using our personal advantages for the benefit of others. Rather, we are constantly deluded by our personal advantages and in a state of fighting or conflict with anything or anyone that interferes with that. So we have this habit in our own mind, and when it exists out in the world, we don't think that it's strange, but actually it is very strange that we're acting in this way as a world, as a society, to destroy our climate and our planet and each other. So we now have wars going on all over the world, and nobody thinks it strange. That is how the sense media drag life into our many messes and problems, and with increasing violence. So that's how all of this sense media, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind, all of these things that we are consuming through our sense organs, is dragging life itself, reality itself, into our many messes and problems with increasing violences, our reactivity, our selfishness, dragging life into that. The Buddha said that the origin of our problems is sense contact. Right here with impressions via the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The sense media, both inner and outer, are the source of all things because when they are impacted, sensations and experiences occur. Okay, so the Buddha said that the origin of our problems is sense contact. So the eyes coming in contact with the sense media, the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the touching. The eyes in and of themselves are not really a problem, but it's that contact, that seeing, that coming into contact that creates impressions, that creates delusions, that creates perceptions. So the sense media, the content that exists in the world, are the source of all things because when they are impacted, sensations and experiences occur. For example, with sense media, we naturally acquire more knowledge with each passing day. Once we're born, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind increasingly perform their duties, so getting more involved. All of our faculties for sensing become more and more involved and developed. Each day, children come to know more, grow in cleverness, and expand their experiences because the senses encounter new and different things. Correct understanding arises from sense contacts. So it's through our being in the world, it's through our experiencing in the world that we can develop correct understanding. If we didn't have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, if we weren't a human being, that we couldn't develop correct understanding. So it's not inherently evil that we come in contact with things. Sense media is not inherently evil. But wrong thinking and wrong understanding also arise from sense contacts. Some occasions of sense contact happen without any chance for intelligence and clear knowing, which leads to misunderstanding and increases the storehouse of wrong understanding. Okay, so some occasions of this contact happen without any chance for wisdom, intelligence, or clear knowing, which leads to misunderstanding and increases the storehouse of wrong understanding. Earlier, there wasn't so much wrong understanding. Now, however, it increases because contacts through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind are not wisely restrained and increasingly turn the wrong way. So I would understand this as originally when we are younger, when we are children, we don't have so much wrong understanding. We just experience directly what's happening at the present moment, at any moment. But as time goes by, and especially as we as children encounter sense contact where we didn't have an opportunity to have intelligence or clear knowing, maybe there just weren't supporting factors there at that time to have that wisdom with the sense contact, then it leads to misunderstanding and increases the storehouse of wrong understanding. And for me, this comes up with things like trauma or just ways of thinking, ways of self-regulation that are backwards and misconstrued and unskillful. Okay? So earlier, with our kind of original purity, there wasn't so much wrong understanding. But now, however, the more that we are having these contacts and the experiences through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind without wise restraint, we are increasingly turning the wrong way, and we develop more wrong understanding, more general unskillfulness. When we act wrongly, when we act unskillfully, the corresponding results follow. Both intentional action, both karma and the corresponding results come from contacts via the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Hence, heaven and hell are right here. Hell occurs with contacts via the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Heaven occurs with contacts via the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. However, this isn't how we usually talk and teach or share with one another. We prefer to imagine places we don't actually see, and therefore we don't observe heaven and hell in the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Even the study and realization of nibbana, enlightenment, the ultimate purpose and benefit in Buddhism, requires careful attention to the contacts taking place at the senses. But we prefer to look elsewhere and place our faith in nebulous things. We wander ever further from the truth and end up with speculations, foolishly following the opinions of others. If we know how to use the senses most skillfully in our studies, we will know everything, because everything is gathered in the sensations and experiences of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Ignorant of this fact, we learn about all sorts of things. Reality, however, is with the senses, which is wasted and has no real benefit if we aren't interested. Okay, so I want to read this last line and then go a little bit back. Reality, however, is with the senses, which is wasted and has no real benefit if we aren't interested. Okay? So, both our intentional action and the effects that arise from that intentional action, moment by moment, in our lives, in our senses, right here, right now. You're not going to smell something in the past or the future. Your smelling only happens right now. both the intentional action and the effects, meaning heaven and hell. You do something right now and you find yourself in heaven, or you do something right now and you find yourself in hell. It's not difficult to understand that. It's not difficult to imagine that. This this exists right here in the senses. Heaven and hell exist right here, occur with contacts, the contact points of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. However, we don't usually take an interest, we don't usually understand it in this way. Rather, we are prioritizing nebulous ideas, nebulous concepts, general, vague concepts of who we want to be and who we could be and where we want to go and what's going to satisfy us. And we ignore what we actually see, what we actually hear, what we actually feel, what the state of the mind actually is right now. And so this is true not only of heaven and hell, so this is true not only for someone who wants to live a happier, more free life and avoid suffering, but this is also true in terms of the study and realization of enlightenment. Okay, transcending the self, transcending this false notion of anything being permanent, transcending this false notion of any experience or sensation somehow satisfying you. Coke is not going to satisfy you. It's not true, right? It's actually not true. But why do we just go along with this momentum of, oh my gosh, I need to have Coke, I'm going to be satisfied? Actually, it's not satisfying. Or whatever vice you have, sexuality, drug, relationship, unskillful relationship. Okay, so we prefer to look elsewhere and place our faith in nebulous things. In that way, the more that we do that, the more regularly that we place our faith in nebulous things, vague, general concepts of what's going to satisfy us, what's going to solve the problem, we wander ever further from the truth, okay, which is found here in this present moment, and end up with speculations, foolishly following the opinions of others. All right, so now we're kind of a deluded person who is easy to be manipulated, easy to be controlled, following the vague general notions that other people say or try to sell to us, okay, or try to get us to adopt. Now, if we know how to use the senses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, most skillfully in our studies, in our skillful ways of living, we will know everything. We will know everything that we need to know, everything that there is to be known at this present moment, because everything is gathered in the sensations and experiences of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Ignorant of this fact, though, we learn about all sorts of other things. Anime, some story, some movie, some vice that we have, we learn about that. Reality, however, if we want to learn about reality, the truth, reality, however, is with the senses here at this present moment, which is wasted and has no real benefit if we aren't interested. So this is a really powerful teaching. This is a direct meditation training teaching about being interested. The reason that we need a sincerity and an intentionality when we show up to practice meditation is because we need to be interested. To get benefit from meditation practice, we need to be interested. And you can't force someone to be interested. You can't make someone be interested. And this is maybe a difficult pill to swallow for a lot of people who want their loved one to be a meditator, or their partner to be a meditator, or someone who's suffering to be a meditator, someone who's going through addiction. They want to help them work through this according to the Dhamma or the Buddhist teachings. We cannot force someone to be interested. But as a meditator, once you find that intentionality and that sincerity and that interest, you need to cultivate it, you need to generate it, you need to get involved with it more and more. Okay? But the moment that you try to seek something or you try to get something, well, it's not going to, life doesn't work that way. So you're immediately going to lose your interest. Okay? And what we have in this this kind of modern way of producing media, producing content to consume, it's generating this faux interest. This small little bit of interest with a bait on a hook to get a little bit interested, and then you're out in a vague world again. You haven't learned anything, you haven't developed, and you especially haven't empowered your ability to be interested, to be curious. Okay? And not just about nebulous things, vague notions, content, stories, and beliefs, but to be interested about reality, to be interested about the truth. And this is what Buddhism is all about. This is what the Buddha's teachings are about, is to get interested in the truth. Okay, this is what meditation is all about. So reality is here with the senses, which are wasted and have no real benefit if we aren't interested. So getting interested, and especially this interest in the senses, not the content that we are making contact with, but the interest in the seeing itself, the interest in the hearing itself, the interest in the mind itself, the interest in the body itself at this moment, not some experience, not some meditation experience, not some sexual experience, not some physical experience or mental experience, but experiencing itself, the body itself, the mind itself, hearing itself. And we all have access to this. It's right, it's right here. Can you hear the hearing itself? Can you see the seeing itself? And we can, but we need to apply our interest and our curiosity to that. An interest in the breathing itself, not that we hope that there's some kind of experience that's going to come out of our breathing, or that we want to experience breathing in a particular way. But it's the interest in the breathing itself, the body itself, that is really essential, really important. Okay, any questions or sharing at this time from what we've gone over so far? So we have the strong tendency in general to look elsewhere, outside of reality, it's outside of our lives, okay, our present moment experience. Look elsewhere, and we place our faith in nebulous things. We place our faith in political systems. Okay, we place our faith in some goal in the future, some position, some status that we want to get into. Okay? We look outside of reality and we place our faith in that. So we wander ever further from the truth. We get more and more involved in speculation, in unskillful ways of being. And then we are primed to foolishly follow the opinions of others, random people, political agents, self-help gurus who might not be so skillful and wise, okay, religious institutions that just are focused on you believing in more nebulous things, general vague notions. But if we know how to use the senses skillfully, we can know everything. We can know everything that we need to know, because everything is gathered through these sensations and these experiences here in the present moment. But if we are ignorant about this, then we will learn about all kinds of other things that are not applicable to living a skillful life and transforming suffering. Okay? Um, but reality is here with the senses. So if you want to know about reality, you need to get interested in the senses. And it's an art to do that. And that's what we do in meditation. Okay, John shared that it's like often we go through life in a state of sleepwalking. 100%. That's for sure. Okay. So, this direct meditation teaching is about reality and the truth being here with the senses. But all of that is wasted if we aren't interested. So, our meditation practice here is to get interested in this experience, this body, this mind, this breath, this hearing, this seeing, this smelling, this tasting, this present moment experience. Okay, so at this time, let's practice that together. All right. Make sure that you're comfortable. Comfortable, stable, simple position to get into. You can close your eyes if you like. With a sense of curiosity and interest, beginning to give full attention to the breath. And allow the breath, as you feel it flowing into the body, to be an access point for awareness of the body at this present moment. Following the breath as it flows in and flows out. Becoming fully interested in the body, breathing, noticing all there is to notice in this present reality of the body just sitting here, breathing, and taking a great interest in that, being with that fully. And there may be distractions. You might get caught up in thinking or vague ideas, vague thinking. But at that time, just come back to the breath and the body and this mind of interested exploration, interested being with the breath and the body. And when you find that your attention becomes dull or vague, you really step in and bring that sense of interest, bring that sense of curiosity about your breath, your heart, your whole body sitting here, and look closely at this present moment experience. Be with it with your full faculty, your full ability. Don't get caught or stuck in enjoyment. Don't get caught or stuck in a feeling of uncomfortableness or dissatisfaction, but really continue the process of looking closely, being interested, being with this present moment experience, putting down these vague general ideas about who we are and what life is, and instead stepping into this real intimate experience of the body, the breath, the mind, the heart, coming together in this present moment. Just breathing and being aware and letting everything that disturbs, everything that excites, come to a rest, to calm, to settle, and just leaning in more and more fully to this interest. This curiosity about the happening of the breath, the body. Okay, so at this time we can all bring our hands together. We can make a deep bow to the community that has gathered to practice together today. Thank you all for being here, and I hope that you will feel encouraged to stay with this interest and this curiosity, not about a future plan or a past worry or, solving the puzzle of your life, but really taking an interest into this body, this breath, this heart, this seeing, this hearing, this smelling, this tasting, right here at this present moment. All right? So tomorrow we will meet at the same time for those who are interested. And the the topic will be the ABCs of Buddhist study. So it'll be a really nice session to tune into as we are getting more involved in our practice of Buddhism and meditation and study. All right. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy.